Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TML F1. We are here tonight, as you can tell, for round 4 of the championship as we take in the Austrian Grand Prix from, of course, the Red Bull Ring. My name is James Head, going to be taking you through the stream, of course, as always, in Season 9 of TML F1. And joining me in the commentary box, the man, the myth, the Welshman, it is Mr. Iverbrin. Mike, Mike, how you doing?
I am doing great. The man, the myth, the Welshman. I love it.
That's a fantastic introduction. It is a really good introduction, I think, and it's, I think, very worthy because you've been here the last couple of weeks. Second week, of course, with the merging of F1 and F2. And if you are very, very, very confused by what is going to go on tomorrow night, F3 guys, you're just F2 guys now, and that is what you're going to be referred to for the rest of the season. But we are delighted to say, I think we've got 18 drivers actually racing tonight, which is really good. We've got a whole load of reserves as well that are going to be racing, that are obviously being placed as well as reserves. We've redone the placements, redone everything, redone the standings. Standings are wrong, so we're not going to show you them here tonight. But what I can report is Jensen leads the way on 60 points. Tom in second on 56, I believe. So it's 4 points differentiation at the top end of the standings. And then I believe it is Lynx in third on 47. Felix should be on 48 points, I think. Because James decided to put the Imola sprint results instead of the feature results into the app, which got me ultimately confused. It was mentioned about 15 minutes before we started the stream, so I will change the point standings afterwards. Commentus in 5th on 46, Chris also on 45, then Andres on 39. I think his points are right. Blackbox on 35, Stenries on 34, and then Justin on 30 points, rounding off the top 10. And Mike, obviously Jensen leading the way, Tom there in second. However, both of them came in for a bit of trouble last week.
Yeah, they absolutely did. A bit of calamities. And if I remember correctly, I think Tom ended up DNFing, didn't he, in Spain?
He did. He did DNF. Apparently, the ultimate sneeze cost him in terms of the race, and he sneezed going into the corner. I think Chris got collected, Jensen got collected as a result, and all of that spawned from, as I say, Tom sneezing down in towards, I think it was turn number 5, if I'm not mistaken, in Spain, which is probably the worst excuse I've ever heard of a league racer ever, to be honest, sneezing down in towards turn number 5, but it can happen, it is real life, and especially going in for a braking zone on the corner, it was a real shame for Tom to be out the race. Of course, he didn't pick up any points last week. I know for a fine fact he was going to try and rebuke that tonight, certainly in Austria, and Austria, Mike, is one of those tracks where we should get a lot of overtaking. We should get some DRS trains as well, and hopefully, we're going to get some really good action.
Yeah, Austria is just one of those tracks. It really does provide a lot of close racing throughout the entire 36 lap race, and honestly, with the trains, that is going to give plenty of these guys that have come up from F2 a very good opportunity to get a good result here.
Yeah, definitely so. On the Austrian Grand Prix circle, we are just sorting out the cars, by the way, for some of the reserves that are coming in. 4.3 kilometres an hour, 2.6 mile, 10 turns, waiting hour drivers, of course, out on track here at the Red Bull Ring. Very much a downhill circuit, especially down towards Schlossgold at turn number 4. Also, as well, the Rindt curve at turn number 1, or the Niki Lauda curve as it's now known as turn number 1. The Rindt curve as well. Remus at turn number 3. Just trying to think of all the corner names off the top of my head. They will come to me, I'm sure, after the lap. But it is a very short circuit. We should be expecting lap times in around the 101, 102 mark, I would think, in terms of the lap times around here. Possibly the 103s as well. And that really, with 3 DRS zones, Mike, should bring up a lot of overtaking. And maybe even in qualifying, a bit of trouble in terms of traffic.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, it's a very short track as well. So people are going to have to be very aware when people are starting laps behind them, or people who are on flying laps, or when they're on out laps. They have to be incredibly aware.
They do indeed have to be incredibly aware. I have to be incredibly aware of what's going on the left-hand side of me because I thought we had 18 drivers. I've got even better news. We've got a full grid tonight. We've got 20 drivers in the lobby as it stands, which is really good indeed. We've got a few reserves. We've got a few returning faces there as well. And I'm not sure who that man is in the Mercedes. QRT Ralkeo. I'm not sure who that is, which is causing me a bit of concern because I don't think he's actually down to race. So give me a second. It's disconnected and it's good. It's disconnected and it's going to reconnect, I think. Yeah, there we are. It's just reconnected. Should be back live, I hope. Nothing like an OBS reconnection to start off your night. It is probably because I've got phone and iPad on Wi-Fi right next to me. But yeah, I'm not sure who that Ralkeo person is, or Ralkeo? I'm not sure who he is, but in the Mercedes, it's Samu and Delphi, unless it's one of them two, and they've had a name change and they haven't told us, then I can only think it could be them.
Yeah, I'm looking for what's called the driver lineups and that. So that's just been a name change, and I think potentially either reserve or a random.
Definitely not a reserve. Definitely not a reserve. I can only think it's Samu or Delphi. Oh, it's Dara. It is Mr. Dara Smith. Okay. Got me completely confused. And I think he's joined QRT recently, which I think is going to make... Oh, my God. Oh, I'm absolutely all over the place. Just put in your name change, for goodness sake. Dara, though, is the man in QRT. It, of course, spawns in terms of that, which is really good. And, as well, Mike, very overcast in qualifying. I've just seen what the race is going to be looking like. Is anyone prepared for full wet race?
I don't think I could deal with that.
I don't think anybody could deal with that, to be honest. I hope everyone is going to be enjoying this race, of course, tonight. We are getting the first drivers out on track very soon indeed. In fact, one of the AlphaTauris is coming out the pit lane, and that is Mr. Tom. Shazoo Tom, of course, who has had his real fair share of bad luck in recent weeks, especially, of course, in PSGL F1 in Abu Dhabi, where, if anybody has seen on Twitter, he might have crashed out on purpose in PSGL F1. Hopefully none of the same excuses tonight. He can't use the sneezing excuse, that's for sure, because he already used that one last week. But Tom, of course, with all banter aside, as you've left the session, Mike, hopefully, is everything okay in your end? And Mike, I think, has disappeared. I think Mike is having technical difficulties, perhaps. Not sure, but you all stuck with me, at least for the next few minutes or so. So not sure what has happened there with Mike. I think his internet might have just put out, and hopefully we'll come back in very soon. It's a good job that we're streaming on my end, and otherwise the stream will be down at this point as well. But Tom is going to be the first man to start up on a lap, and the Shazoo man, of course, looking to try and put his doldrums of F1, the PSGL F1 race, of course, in Abu Dhabi, fully to bed here tonight in TML in Austria. As we now begin off on this lap on board with Tom. We'll turn the timing tower off on the left hand side just to make sure that we have got everything. We can now come down to the right hand of turn number 1 at the Nicky Lauda curve, then up the hill in towards turn number 2, getting a bit of slipstream there from the Alpine just coming out the pit lane. So now Tom comes up the hill into the right hand of turn number 3, 16-1 in the first sector, there or thereabouts in the first sector. So now comes through Remus at turn number 3, and then down the hill in towards Schlossgold at turn number 4. My favourite corner name to pronounce, of course, on this track, as Tom now runs down towards Schlossgold, turn number 4, break just before the 50-metre wall, gets the car rotated in very nicely indeed. The AlphaTauri man looking very quick indeed. Comes down through turn 5, then through the Pirelli curve. The Pirelli curve coming through turn number 6. Mike Holloway has just left the Discord, if you just heard that in the background. 44.7 in the middle sector from Tom. And he is flying now through this middle sector through in towards the Rinse curve at turn number 9. And then the Red Bull Mobile curve at turn number 10 as well. Tom now coming through the right-hander of turn number 9, and then through the right-hander of turn number 10, right to the curve very nicely indeed, and invalidates actually coming out the final corner. Unfortunate there from Tom. 104.4 would have been, looked a quick lap, unfortunately invalid. As Mike, I think you are back with us. I hope he is anyways. Give him a second. If Jensen now goes to the top, 104.6. Actually, he would have been 2 tenths behind Tom at that stage. Hopefully everything is okay with the Elgato as well. I know there was some syncing issues actually on Tuesday where we were running OBS and FRL. Hopefully everything is okay though. But Jensen now out on top, links there in second. Malkeo, or Dara Smith, 44.7 through the middle sector, not looking too bad. The Irishman, he's actually debuting here tonight as well as a reserve. Coming toward the line in the Mercedes, and he goes to the top. So okay there to the top, 104.6 there from Jensen in second, Links there in third, Conventions there going into fourth, recently leaving, of course, the ex-esports team. Felix Swan, now full-time driving the Red Bull as well, alongside Jensen. I didn't put him there for one good reason, and one good reason only, and that's to put the Constructors' title in a real mixed fight, and Felix is through the final couple of corners, and he's actually invalidated, so he's coming back into the pit lane. But it's Rolke out on top, Jensen second, Yona in third. It's literally like talking to Yugoslavia in the 1990s, I think, at this point. Mike, are you back with us? And he isn't. He is not indeed. Hopefully, everything is okay. Blackbox is revising and listening to me, which is good. And Bunty's also doing the same. He's doing maths and listening to me commentate, which is, I think, the best thing. Blackbox, of course, I'm sure is going to be back next week. Good luck with the exams. Good luck with the mocks. I'm sure that is going on at this stage as well. Mitchby coming through the middle sector. He's a debutant as well tonight. 45.1 in the middle sector from the Ferrari land. And Falcao out on top. Jensen there in second. Yona there in third. Links there in fourth. Blacks as well is reserving again tonight. As Denzo goes second. The TF man going very quick indeed in the Alfa Romeo. He is now still full-time actually in the Alfa Romeo. He now comes toward the line, Mitchby to go into 6th position. But okay, out on top, Denzel there in second, Sergeant Cake there in third. But looking at the Discord, Link saying as well, do we have to stay beyond the white lines coming into the quick lane? Yes, I believe so. They are being monitored, the stewards, I'm sure. Even though there's no briefings being put out this season so far, it is common sense, I think, just to use the white lines on entrance into the pit lane. But I don't think they're getting looked at, to be honest, this season. So drivers will be able to do whatever they want if they really like. Sergeant Kate actually went third, 104.5 from him. Chris there as well on a lap, of course, the winner in Jeddah. He was previous championship leader as well out of Jeddah. And as I say, Jensen was leading the way on 60 points, Tom in second on 56. That is definitely confirmed. Felix's points completely wrong. The F2 guys' points out of racing them are they're wrong, so I'm going to have to fix that, of course, after tonight. But Chris, coming through the middle sector, coming through Pirelli curve, very wide there, coming through, 45.1 again in the middle sector. Well, KO out on top, Denzel there in second, Sergeant Kate in third. Cyber Dan there in the chat as well. What do you think for tomorrow in the new F2? Not really a new F2, it's F3 just rebranded, I think, but it is going to be interesting. There are 10 things to go by, of course, in this qualifying session that we've seen so far. We should see the guys in F2, the newly formed TML F2, previously TML F3. That, of course, is going to be very good, and hopefully the action is one to remember as well, as I had Yellow Geeson in my DMs a little bit early on as well, saying, James, I'm looking forward to you commentating tomorrow, and obviously reminiscing about his overtaking France in Season 6 of Division 1, as Andreas now goes quicker. So Andreas now, former AlphaTauri man, now current AlphaTauri man, Tom, nearly spins, coming out of turn number 3, but he backs up his lap. Andreas still out on top, okay, there in second, Dental there in third. I'm going to try again. Mike, are you with us? No, he is gone. He is gone. I definitely heard the Discord come back in, so I'm not sure if he's going under maybe a Wi-Fi reset potentially at this stage. Hopefully, though, everything is going to come back according to plan. He is in the Discord with me, so it is weird why he probably can't hear me and I can't hear him. But still. Anyways, 10 minutes to go. Andres out on top, okay, there in second. Denzel there in third. We are getting the second runs on their laps as well. Jerry through the first sector, 17.3's not looking too bad at all, and he, of course, is returning to TML for the first time, actually, I think since last season, in Season 8, and the WR, one of the leading WR contenders from the season that I did, doing very well indeed. Hotlap TV, by the way, I think that's Maze in the chat. Good evening, Maze, hope you're doing well. Dan as well, saying, I think you're better than Crofty. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I don't sound like Crofty. I like to take myself of a British commentator who does the British touring cars. David Addison, if you're not sure who he is, look him up. I tend to be more like him rather than Crofty to try and copy what every single commentator has done so far. Tom, however, in the first sector, purple out of the first sector, he's one of the leading contenders, I think, coming into tonight for qualifying, that is for sure. But it's Andreas, the former TML F2 man, out on top. Okay, there in second, Denzel there in third, Sergeant Cake, another former F2 man, in fourth, and Tam, another former F2 man there in sixth. Mike has joined the session. That means his internet is getting rebooted back up. Tom now coming through the middle sector though, 44-6, huge middle sector from Tom. Purple in the middle sector again, as he now comes through the right hand of turn number 8, in towards the vert curve at turn number 9, and then into the Red Bull Mobile chicane, or the Red Bull Mobile curve I should say, turn number 10, through the final corner, doesn't want to run too wide, and Tom hasn't done that this time around, on the run to line, should go quickest, oh he does, 104.1, and how do you like them apples, because that could be the lap time to beat as Tom out on top. Andreas there in second, Malkeo there in third. Malkeo just done up on lap. Denzo on a lap as well. Jensen, though, 3 tenths up. He's responding good in this final sector on the run toward the line, and he goes second, just in behind Tom. So good lap there from him on a second run on that set of soft compounded tyres. Tom, though, out on top. Jensen there in second. Andreas in third. As I said earlier on, it's like talking to Yugoslavia. Mike, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm back.
What on earth happened? Did your internet just cut out?
Yeah, the internet just completely said, nah, mate, not today. He heard a wet race at Austrian, and he was like, nah, I'm not having any of it, but so we're done with.
I'm glad you're back. I've been trying it like 5 times. It's like a disengaged line, I think, on your end. But there we are. Glad you're back. Tom, though, out on top in this session. Denzel's now gone second, 104.353. For that top lap from Tom, I'm sure you caught the last stages of that. I was on board for the full lap. That is a statement, that from Tom, being already a 10.5 clear the rest of the field.
Fortunately, I was still loading in when Tom set that time, so I didn't actually catch it. But yeah, it's an absolutely impressive lap from Tom this early on in qualifying.
It really is. Length is invalidated, I think, or certainly down. Sergeant Cake, however, 15.9 in the first sector. Now, of course, it is an assist tier now, or line only, I should say, this tier, with the introduction of some of the F2 guys. Some of them, of course, more for attendance, have been rewarded for full-time seats. Many drivers in F2 who have either attended one race or haven't attended at all have been placed as full-time reserves, so they can be available, of course. But we've got so many reserve drivers, I don't think we need them, to be honest. It is literally a good problem to have. Sergeant Cake goes through the middle sector. 44.5, he's actually up there in the middle sector along with Tom. This is looking like a quick lap, and he's currently there in 6th. Made sure that his points were incorrect in the Imola feature race, certainly, because I decided to tilt up them completely wrong. But Sergeant Cake moves to the final corner on the run to the line, and he goes second. Not a bad lap there at all, 104.3. And this introduction, obviously, with the F2 guys coming in, this is bringing about, I think, a real change in pace, as Jerry's just on the run to the line. Dakin as well on the run to the line, I think, should improve. Yeah, he goes 18th. But this grid now is a lot closer than what it actually normally is.
Yeah, and obviously that is a testament that obviously the merger of the 2 tiers, and a lot of these guys who run line only very quick, and just as quick as the no assist runners, but obviously the one thing that separated them was obviously that 1 assist. But I'm currently on board with TNR Andreas as he's coming for the final sector, marginally up on his time, so he could be looking around Jensen's lap time at the moment.
Yeah, it could be. He needs to find, I think, another 10th of a second. He's not going to do that, though. He does a full 360. Obviously, doesn't care about the white lines. To be fair, he already put over the pit lane anyways when he spun. So Andreas there back into the pit lane, recovers the car. Full 360. I honestly give that a 10 out of 10. Yeah,
8.5 for me. 8.5 for me.
8.5? I wish we had a third judge, because it'd be like dancing on ice, I think, at this stage. But there we are. Top hat on top, Sergeant Cake in second, Denzel there in third. Yoram in the chat as well saying, yes, it is indeed a wet race. Tam as well is on a lap. I think he just started on 1, and he's actually 3.5 tenths. I think he might have just improved potentially off a lap. Kaya, who hasn't been seen for a while, I think for the first time since Jeddah, if I'm not mistaken, he is coming in this season. So Kaya there in 13th, another reserve, of course, for this season, the TML F1, and he, on the run down towards turn number 4, has got a bit of time to climb. But Kaya, on his day, is a very, very quick driver. Of course, life does take over, and I'm sure he's been missing the last couple of weeks because of that. Blackbox, I know for a fine fact as well, has been doing exams, but Kaya now through the middle sector. He could be one of the favourites to take pole position around here. Not with that middle sector though. 44.9 is a little way off in terms of Tom and Cake's middle sectors. But Kaya not looking too bad. And he'll look to go, I think, around Tam, Mitwee, Chris. That sort of area, I think.
Yeah, he's looking around there. I'm on board with Jerry, who's obviously got a lot of time to make up a 108.3. And there we go, Kaya up into 11th there. So a good lap from him.
Yeah, and Jerry is actually 44.7 in the middle sector. It's actually quicker than what we saw there with Kaya. As now it runs on towards the line and goes 6th. Not a bad lap there at all from Jerry. He is a reserve again. Plenty of reserves. That you will hear me say the word reserve quite a lot, I think, in this race. But Tom out on top, Sergeant Cake there in second, Dental there in third. Jerry, of course, one of the leading contenders as I was mentioning in season 13 of WOR, which I covered, of course, last season. That's why I'm now in TML F3 this season. But Jerry there in 6th. On his day, he is a very, very good driver. His race pace, I think, was much better than his qualifying pace around here. And I believe the last time that I commentated on around here, he actually finished in the top 3 in WR. So Jerry has got form around here. It should be very good. But Tom out on top, though. Sergeant Cake in second, Denzel in third. And I think Denzel was just about to start up on another lap. In fact, actually, he's nowhere near in the first second. So Denzel, I think, he's just came up one, maybe invalidating his run. But Tom out on top, Sergeant Cake in second, Denzel there in third. As Dan has said in the chat as well, Tom is 7th in the world in time trial on this track. And that's why he's on pole position.
I mean, he can be 7th in the world around this track, but time trial, you can make mistakes here. You can't. Pressure's on.
Definitely not. Definitely not. It is, of course, a very pressured track. It is a pressure situation, sort of, that track as well. Felix, by the way, through the first sector. The NLR man in the Red Bull, the full-time Red Bull seat now. He's through the first sector. And around 1,600 up coming out the first sector, so not looking too bad. He is 3rd in the standings, by the way, not 2nd, as we were going to show you in the driver standings earlier on. But Felix now through the right-hand return number 4, Schlossgold, through the right-hand return number 5, and then into the Pirelli curve at turn number 6. Not looking too bad at all here, the German. Of course, hopping over the border is Felix this time around. 44.8 in the middle sector. Is actually purple, apparently, in the middle sector. Of course, don't get the ideas from the game. It could be wrong, it could be right. However, though, it is a strong middle sector from Felix regardless. And now comes to the right-hander of turn number 9, and then through the right-hander of the Red Bull Mobile curve at turn number 10. On the run toward the line, Felix, I think, will go 5th. In fact, actually goes 8th. But a 1:04.4 is a marked improvement in this last run.
Yeah, and he's right in the mix as well, because look how close it is from second all the way down to 8th. It's just over 10th and a half between them.
Lynx matching Felix's middle sector as well. He goes 700 slower than him down in 10th position, and Lynx down in 10th. Might be a little bit of a shock, but it's so close, this grid. Chris, 45.1 in the middle sector. I think that's just him just preparing up for a lap. Tam is on a lap as well in the Alpine. We are getting down to the nitty-gritty. I think there's only 2 minutes to go now in the session. Tom out on top, Sergeant Cake there in second, Denzel there in third. As Tam is actually up at 44.8 in the middle sector, 10th and a half up in that middle sector with 1.5 minutes to go. Tam needs to put this lap on the line, of course. The ex-academy driver, I should say, coming to the right-hand out of turn number 10 at the final corner on the run to the line. Might go ahead of Chris with this lap. And he does, and he goes out of Mad Jonas as well. Very good lap from Tam, 1:04.4. Very, very quick lap from him. Like to Mitwee as well, just starting up on a run. Chris is on a run as well, running down the hill. Jonas through the middle sector, 44.7 in the middle sector from Jonas. Felix is retired into the pit lane. He's not going to get another run out on track. But Jonas, a statement lap potentially coming here from the TML, the former TML F2 man. Now, of course, in TML F1, has been for the last couple of seasons. And now Jonas, as soon as I say that, does a full 360, Vettel style in Hungary, and nearly crashes into the wall on the right-hand side.
Yes, we got QRT Ralco coming to the line now. I believe he's on a flying lap. He's going to cross the line. And what's it going to be? It's going to be a 0.2, get him up in the front row.
Second, Tom, 400s down in the first sector. He's now coming to the left-hand return number 6 at the Pirelli curve, and he's looking very good so far through the Pirelli curve, and now he's a 10th up. He's turned that purple in the middle sector, and now Tom, big squirrely coming out of the chicane, 7 and 8. That might just lose him time. Now in towards the right-hand return number 9. Tam is back in the pit lane. He is done for the session. Pretty much everyone, I think, is done for the session. Once they get these laps in, it's now Tom comes to the line. Is he going to try and go for 103? No, 104 flat. Goes quickest, though. Ralco there in second. second. Sergeant Cake is improving. Invalidates though at the final corner. Denzel's 1,000 down. Jensen through the first sector as well. Jerry through the first sector. This is going to be real big improvements potentially coming in for at least half the field, I think, at this point. Jerry through the middle sector to 44.7. Jensen's behind him on track, 44.8, and he just invalidates coming out of turn number 6 as well, so that's a shame from Jensen. But it's Tom out on top. Welco there in second, who's not on a lap. Sergeant Cake in third is done. Denzel there in fourth, 44.6 in the middle sector. He's improving by a 10.
Yeah, marginal improvements in the middle sector from Denzel, and he went so far wide. That's invalidated.
And a crash across the line, I think, might have been from Jerry, if I'm not mistaken. He invalidated, I think, on his run in the Mercedes. Apart from Blacks and Carmentas are both done. That's the end of qualifying. Tom's lap, big improvement in the end. A 104 flat is it's actually 2/10 clear of everyone else in the field, which is an absolute marked statement around here. He's not 7th in the time trials for anything around here as well. But Tom out on top. Dara, QRC Velco there in second, and Sergeant Cake there in third. And I've got to be honest, Sergeant Cake in third, a huge overperformance, I think, from him. But he proved it last week. He was strong in qualifying, and then in the race, it just didn't go to plan in Spain.
Yeah, it didn't go to the plan for him in Spain, but he was thereabouts in terms of the pace. He didn't have the raw pace for the win, but he was a contender for a podium for the majority of that race.
Well, let's have a look. Tom's out on top by 0.2 of a second. It's over 0.2 of a second, in fact, between Tom and Ralco. In the end, though, as my eyes are going a little bit funny, I can't even see because of the clouds. Ralco there in second, Sergeant Cake there in third, Denzel there in fourth, covered by about a 1/10 of a second, Jensen including that as well there in fifth. Andreas there in sixth, a good statement that from him in sixth. Jerry there in seventh, Felix there in eighth, Tam in ninth, Mad Jonas top 10, then Lynx in 11th, Mitby in 12th, Chris in 13th, Kai 14th, top 14, covered by 6.5 per second. Yona and Blacks, including that, covered by 16th, the top 16, covered by less than a second. Commenters in 17th, Tom there in 18th, Dakin in 19th, Tim Wenting right down at the back of the field, but it's Tom out on top, Okeo alongside him on the front row of the grid. We are going to go for an intermission break and we'll be back for full wet race in Austria in 30 seconds. Welcome back to a sodden Austrian Grand Prix. I did say full wet race, and I think I damn well mean it, to be honest. 30 seconds until lights out, Mike. And this couldn't be any more different from what we saw in qualifying. This is going to test the driver's mettle to a completely different standard.
Yeah, and this is going to make overtaking around this track a lot more difficult. Usually DRS trains very difficult to go for an overtake, but in the wet is a high risk, high reward every single time you go for an overtake here in the wet.
Definitely so. I'm prepared for this. I don't think everyone else is. 5 red lights about to go out here in Austria for round number 4 of TML F1. And it is. Lights out and move, go. Mad Jonas gets a drive through. Tom gets a drive through off the start as well, but Tom leads the way. The Shazoo man off the line in towards turn 1 will lead. Valkale there in second. Sergeant Cake trying to go around the outside. Dent on the inside of him. Look at the spray being kicked off coming through turn 1. I think everyone is clean through safely as cars off in the back around the Avatar and the Aston Martin there of Chris and Lynx, I think, just running wide. Sergeant Cake and Dent are side by side up the hill. Very difficult in the spray. I think everyone has taken it rather cautiously. Denzel doesn't know. Does it to the inside where Sergeant Cake gets the job done. Beautiful stuff. And the McLaren there of Andres is sideways. There's a spinner in the back where Mad Jonas is there. Sent round, I think. Might have been contact, maybe. And there's a huge pile up as well in the background of the shot as well. Yona, Tom, Blacks and Chris, I think, all got caught. And that's certainly Tom, Blacks and Chris did. Jerry. And they're right down in the back of the field. Jerry goes for them, even Sergeant Cake as well. There's so much happening. I can't even cake up, but Sergeant Cake is now all out of shape. And now look at the inside line. Because there goes Jensen to the inside line, gets fifth position, and Kale's spun as well, off into the gravel. He's lost his front wing as well, so he's been hard into the wall. Kale, not sure what happened there with him, but it's Tom out on top, Denzel there in second, Jerry there in third. A war of attrition on that one.
Yeah, and I've just noticed JR Jonah and Sergeant Cake I don't know if they're like this for you, but for me, they're on the intermediate tyres.
They are indeed. They are on a set of intermediate compound tyres. Yona as well, as you mentioned, on that set of inters. Everyone else on a sort of set of full wets. Denzel was sideways out the final corner, promotes Jerry up to second. These guys might decide to work together. They're both in the same era. They're both in the same team. Tim Wensing, by the way, has kept his nose very clean in the first lap of the race. He's side by side with Dakin as well. KO retires out of the race. That's Darrow, of course, after that spin. And it's 3 wide, actually, in the background, because there goes Yona, nearly to the outside line of Tim Wensing. He has to back off. Look at the spray being picked up there into turn number 3. And Yona switches to the inside line. Dakin cannot stop the car. Tim Wensing goes around on the outside line, just about recovers the car, and he's ahead, actually, a car mentalist. He might have had to give that position up otherwise. Yona, though, having to defend on that set of intermediate compound tyres, but that was a beautiful switch back from the Ferrari man. He's in 11th, Tim Wensink in 12th, Commentus there in 13th. It's not a matter of when this rain is going to stop, it's a matter of if this rain is going to stop, and at this moment in time, it definitely isn't. Tom out on top, Jerry there in 2nd, Denzel there in 3rd, Jensen there in 4th, Sergeant Cake there in 5th, on that set of inters doing a fantastic job early on, and Andreas is all over the back of Tam as well, running side by side up the hill.
Spot of a tune commenters and Tim Wendick side by side for the middle sector as they come towards the penultimate corner. But Tim just manages to get ahead of the Haas driver.
Sergeant Cake's been overtaken by Felix as well. I think there's a brake marker board. Either that or Kai's front wing, potentially left side end plate on the car might have just been lifted up with contact there. Either one of the two McLaren certainly picked up damage, or that was a brake marker board, as I say. But Andreas there on the back of Sergeant Cake. Not looking too bad, actually, Sergeant Cake. He's there on that set of inters. He's there on his own volition. And Andreas now is going to try and sweep it up the inside line in towards turn number 3. Everyone, though, on settling down is fine. Dakin, I think, has spun. Or is that Commentus? I think Commentus has spun, in fact. Coming out of turn number 1, in fact, in the ring curve. But Andreas there in 6th, Sergeant Cake in 7th. Tam there and 8th is trying to hunt him down in towards turn number 4, Schlossgoal. Marionis now through and Commentus. He, I think, has broken his front wing, potentially. Links there as well, getting past on Sergeant Cake. Kaya there has certainly got damage. Left side end plate, I think, on the car, as I mentioned. But Tom leads the way. Look at Jerry, though, in 2nd. 5/10 off him. Just made a slight mistake there coming out the chicane. This is a real test of nerve out on track, and Jerry, so far, quicker than Tom.
Yeah, Jerry applying the pressure onto Tom, and what we got at the top right now is a 4-way scrap for the win. 2 drivers from Shazoo and 2 drivers from Talent Factory.
It's a bit like the EML Premier. Obviously, TF aren't in that, as Kai is into the pick lane. He must have picked up front wing damage as a result of the collision out the final corner. Everyone, though, in a real war of attrition. There was a big moment there, I think, from Denzo, if I'm not mistaken, and Tom was also sideways out the corner. Here comes Jerry to the inside line, and Jerry goes for the race lead and takes the race lead off him. Brilliant stuff from Jerry, takes the race lead. Jensen's gone wide there, I think over-braking himself in towards turn number 4. The rain is just beginning to relent up a little bit, potentially, down in towards turn number 4, but Jerry leads the way. Tom there in 2nd. They're going to play games with each other out in front, but Denzel there in 3rd. Jensen, I think, just went too deep on the brakes.
Yeah, I think Jensen just outbroke himself a bit as Andreas made a mistake and dropped down behind Tam, but he's just sent it back up the inside into turn 4, so he's back through, and now I'm starting to wonder, at what point do these intermediate tyres start to come into play?
Yeah, definitely. So the inters, I think, if the rain is going to relent, it's probably going to be around lap 10, lap 11, maybe on from that point. So Sergeant K hasn't got far weight along, but he has got a battle to come 10 minutes right ahead, because Andreas switches it back up the inside of turn number 8 on the exit of the chicane, gets the job done. He's 7th. Absolutely incredible racing up the front end. Everyone that's been caught up at the back end of the field, I think, honestly, have been caught up either on their own volition or just in other people's instances. Jerry goes completely deep in towards turn number 1, and Tom, I think, is going to relinquish once again the race lead to Tom back through, and he's into the race lead, but Jerry there alongside him up the hill in towards turn number 3 and Remus. They lean on each other slightly, tries to go all the way around the outside, does Jerry, and do you know what? He's just done that to perfection. Beautiful stuff by Jerry right around the outside of turn number 3, gets the job done. Tom there in 2nd, Denzel in 3rd, Jensen there in 4th. Might not be the best race in terms of driving standards so far, but these guys are now testing their mettle, and that was just absolutely insane from Jerry around the outside of turn 3.
Yeah, it was a fantastic move from Jerry around the outside of Tom, able to get that position very cleanly as well, which is what we'd love to see. And now we're going to see if Jerry does have the raw pace on Tom, because now he's ahead. Can he pull clear?
The thing is, though, he made a mistake as well last time around, and Tom obviously was there in towards turn number 3, and Tom's actually in the wall! Tom is in the wall, losing it by himself out of turn number 8. I cannot believe what I've just seen. VSC out on track, deployed, as Lynx and Andres are side by side. I think they're running up the hill, but Tom outplaces a full safety car. Jerry's in the pit lane. Honestly, I don't know what happened there. I really do not know what happened. Tom, I think, got completely there. He had a big snap of oversteer, went one way, the car decided to go the other way. He's in the wall, out of the race, second DNF of the season in 2 races for Tom, and that was all by himself.
I reckon he might have sneezed.
If he did, you could use that as an excuse, but the way he lost it there, I can only think, from my perspective anyways, I've done that before in the wet conditions around here in an F2 car, and trust me, when that happens, it is horrible. And from Tom's perspective, I think he's caught the curb too much on the right-hand side out of turn number 8, then went one way, left-hand side, tried to recover the car, he's then tried to flick it back to recover the car, and then it's gone completely into the wall, and I think that's exactly what's happened there with Tom. Real shame, because he was right on the pace, but Jerry has put it in. Everyone, Denzo, Jensen, Felix, Tam, and Sergeant Cake all stay out. Jerry there in 6th is on the fresh set of inters, and majority now drivers now might going for that fresh set of inters.
Yeah, and now the question is, the Denzo and Jensen come into the pits. I think, yes, they both do. Felix backing off, obviously, to not get held up by Jensen in the pit lane, so he's going to try and double stack with his teammate and see what goes on here, because now Sergeant Cake will take the race lead, and he's already on that intermediate tyre, so let's see what he can do. You'll have Jerry right behind him, though.
Yeah, and the front 4 are into the pit lane as well, so Denzel, Jensen, Felix, Tam, all into the pit lane. Tom, by the way, is just at the TML Discord, so that might be out of frustration more than anything else, and do you know what, I completely agree, I completely understand if he's done that, but there's so many other races in the season. There's plenty still to gain. He's there in 2nd in the championship as well behind Jensen. Jensen, though, still in this race, is going to get a big advantage. Felix also going to get a big advantage as well. So I don't blame him for the first point, but I know for a fact Tom will just sit down. Either he'll leave the league, and fair enough if he does, out of complete enough of frustration, because we've all been there. We've all done that before. I'm absolutely sure in league racing. But Tom is better than that. We know he's better than that, and hopefully he can reconcile with his woes, unfortunately, coming out of turn number 8. And as I say, it was just purely by himself that he lost it. Just purely by himself. Very, very weird accident. Never seen that like that before in full wet conditions here in Austria. But it is a war of attrition, and it's so easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And in these conditions as well, it's definitely a war of attrition, and now we wait for the safety car to come in so the war can resume.
Yeah, definitely so, definitely so. Indeed, looking through the chat, by the way, if you are interested in commenting thoughts in the chat, please do. It does give us something to talk about while we've got safety cars like this out on track as well. That safety car caused by that Tom collision, and as I say, I'm going to go back actually on the replay and watch that a little bit. I'm not sure where it is out on track. It was lap 5, and I'm just going to watch this back because I was on board with him at the time behind Jerry. Jerry had a slight mistake, and I think that's what I was trying to commentate on. And then Tom has got caught. He's actually gone a little bit sideways through turn number 8, and then he's what on earth has happened there? And it looks even worse on a second angle. On a second run through, it looks even worse. Tom comes out of turn number 8, he's absolutely fine out of turn number 8, and then gets caught on like a puddle or something, and just crashes into the wall on the right hand side. So strange. Sergeant Cakewell leads the way, Denzo in 2nd, Jerry there in 3rd, and Denzo actually has managed to undercut Jerry in all of this.
Yeah, he has managed to get through ahead of Jerry, and obviously I just looked at the chat, Bundy saying, how is your day, James?
My day has been pretty good. But yeah, I still don't know what to make. I'm a bit in shock after that accident still with Tom. It's nothing that I've never seen before in in TML and in other league races as well. And 10 years of me doing this, there are things that normally catch me completely out of shape. That was one of them. Totally unexpected, but I think there was a puddle coming out of turn number 8 that caught him out. Went one way, then went the other way, and unfortunately ended up in the wall. And it's so easy to do. But yeah, my day has been pretty good. I have been sorting out the standings for TML F1 and TML F2, which was formerly TML F3. TML F3, I'm just waiting on, if the stewards are watching this race, I'm just waiting on Yellow Geeson incident to be sorted, and any penalties from that, and if we can get that before the end of tonight, that'll be absolutely fantastic, because I can just do the standings, get them released, and then everything's hunky-dory, ready for tomorrow, which is another potential thriller, because we've got TML F3 tomorrow night. You're probably going to be alongside me again. What can we expect from the new TML F2 boys?
I think we expect more of the same of what we've seen so far this season. Complete unpredictability.
Complete unpredictability under a new name. I think that's probably what we can say without any assurance whatsoever. But Sergeant K out on top, Denzo in second. And while we've been chatting, by the way, the rain has eased up out on track as well.
Yeah, and honestly, I can see it potentially going to dries within the next 10 laps.
Do you think? Even though it's said to be a full-wet race?
I mean, the rain is barely coming down.
It is barely coming down, yeah, and the safety car is actually coming in this lap, and looking at my camera angle, it is still raining, yeah, it's very light rain, but I totally understand what you're on about there. But Sergeant Cake, for the first time I think in his TML career, is now the virtual Bert Marlenberg. He is now the virtual safety car. He is now going to take the pace no matter what he likes or where he likes to go. He will dictate that pace absolutely beautifully so far. About 60, 70 mile an hour. Might want to go early though to try and get those tyres up to temperature, and that's why I think he is trying to speed up the pack a little bit, because they are concentrating up, and actually there's a big break in the middle of the pack. I think from Mad Jonas downwards, the huge gap.
He's gone.
Now he's gone. Sergeant Cake through the final corner, and look at Denzo. Denzo on fresh tyres, can't get them warmed up. Sergeant Cake has stayed out there. He's nearly 8 tenths clear coming across the line. In fact, he is 8 tenths clear. 9 tenths clear across the line. In fact, Sergeant Cake, great stop, but Jerry on the back of Denzo gets the job done, and I think that might be more for track position than anything. Denzo might play the team game rather than anything else. They've got Jensen behind, I don't blame them. But Sergeant Cake out in front, 1.2 seconds clear. Warmer, intermediate, compounded tyres, the answer off the start. Certainly at the front end, Jensen looks on the back of Denzo, as well Felix looking on the back of Jensen. I think everyone's going to get clean through turn number 3 safely. Sergeant Cake leads the way, Jerry in second, Denzo in third. Great restart though from Sergeant Cake.
Yeah, fantastic restart from Sergeant Cake. He's over a second clear already, and he's looking pretty comfortable up there at the moment as Jonah gets through on Mad Jonas and Kaya down the inside of Tim into turn 4. But a lovely switch back by Tim, and he's going to swoop back through.
And that's what the former TF10 man can do, apart from a bit of contact there with Kaya, who I think just locked up there on the curb potentially. He's there, still in 10th position, but there was a huge moment there from Kaya. Huge as well, because Felix is on the back of Jensen. Jensen on the back of Denzel as well, is looking very, very consistent so far in this race. But Jerry now, look at the pace compared to Denzel and Jensen. He just pulled away. Jerry now within 7/10 of a second on the back of Sergeant Cake, making it look pretty easy indeed. Sets the new fastest lap of the race to boot, and he's already got Denzo out of DRS range at this stage. So Denzo can now play the waiting game. He can play second fiddle, if you like, to Jerry in front, in second position, be the wingman. Jensen there in fourth, hoping to be rather Eagle in Top Gun, as opposed to any other character name which I can't think of. Chase is another one, I think, in Top Gun Maverick, but there we are. Denzo in third, Jensen in fourth, Felix. You can tell I haven't watched it. I have got it on DVD and haven't watched it just yet. As Chris, however, does go around the outside of turn number 3, gets the job done on Tom, as I think, Mike, the rain is stopping.
No, it's still coming down in
Jerry.
in sector 2. Jerry's down the inside of Sergeant Cake.
Beautiful.
That's a lovely move there from Jerry.
Turn number 6, and Sergeant Cake must have had a mistake coming out of turn number 4 at Slosh Gold. And actually, Jerry is a huge step of what was doing on the curb, and again on the exit curve. And Sergeant Cake does the same as well, and he loses a bit of time. But Jerry there leads the way now. Sergeant Cake in second certainly caught me by surprise, certainly. I wasn't even right on board with him, but look at the pace difference compared to Sergeant Cake at this stage. Of course, it's absolutely viable that the F1 guys will be quicker than F2. Denzel just put in the fastest lap of the race to boot that as well. But Sergeant Cake sticking on well in there. He's got more, or he's got slightly less ERS there than Jerry. It's around about, I think, 10% difference when they came out of turn number 1 there before they used that up the hill in towards turn number 2. But Jerry there leading the way, Sergeant Cake in second, Denzel in third, doing a fantastic job, and everyone now settling down, which is really good to see, and nobody going for moves that shouldn't really be there. They're all running in line of stern.
Yeah, all line the stern, everyone in a bit of a train all the way down to P11 right now, from first down to 11 and 4 within the second of each other. And you got Mad Jonas who's just outside the second, or he's just tucked inside the second now, so everyone down to 16th is in a second of each other.
Yeah, and Jerry, it makes me wonder though, Mike, is Jerry running a potential full wet setup and everyone else is running half off?
It's potential that Jerry's running a full wet setup. I mean, his pace definitely looks like he's definitely running a setup that's more favoured to the wet conditions. But I see with this track, I don't know. As he sets a new fast lap, I don't know. It does look like it's the rain is slowing down even more.
It is slowing down even more. Certainly still on the camera lens. Certainly the rain is still falling. But this is going to bring improvement on the track. And as you mentioned, if we get beyond the halfway stage and if it gets a little bit drier out on track and the puddles begin to form less and less, we could see dry lines forming. We could see dry racing towards the end of the race as well, as Denzel set the purple first sector out of everyone. He's there in third position. Made a mistake, I think, last time around, coming through turn number 7 and 8. He got certainly caught off by Sergeant Cake's spray and got forced out wide, I think, through 7 and 8, and therefore he's down there in third position. Still doing a good job, though, at this point. Denzel, of course, picked up points. I think it was in Imola, or was it last week in Spain? I think it was last week in Spain he picked up points, the first points of the season.
Maybe.
I think he did. It was like fifth, I think.
I can't remember. I'm just a simple Welshman.
Let me have a look. Hang on. I will tell you. They are the correct standings, by the way, from Spain before anybody asks in the chat. Yeah, Denzel finished 4th. Denzel finished 4th last week, and he finished ahead of Andreas. And look who he's got ahead of him this week. There's actually side by side Tim Wenting and Andreas. Speaking of him, in the McLaren, nearly getting overtaken by Tim Wenting, who I think was right at the inside of the final corner. Might get the run out of turn number 1, though, up the hill and towards Remus at turn number 3. Jerry, though, leads the way now by 2 seconds. Sergeant Cake in second, Denzel in third, Tim on the back of Andreas. I don't think wants to risk it. Has to. He's forced into the move, though. Yeah, he's forced into the move up the inside curve, and in the end, Andreas doesn't give him any room. Goes into system clearance for effect from Tim. I think, to be honest, he had to go for a late lunge, and I think that was always going to happen, him getting caught up on the inside curve. Andreas realised, I think he was there, shut the door on him just to be sure, and Tim there in 9th, and Andreas there in 8th still remain as they are. But Tim, again, it was either that or straight into the back of him and even more contact.
Yeah, Tim just missing his braking point there. Maybe a little bit too focused on the back of Andreas and looking for his braking point, but one thing I have noticed is that Tim has no ERS compared to the guys ahead of him.
He doesn't, and that's obviously going to be a real disadvantage later on in the race. Maybe he's done that, though. Maybe he's thinking there's another safety car, as Jerry just bangs in the new fastest lap race of 1:12.2. I think we were in the 13s, as Lynx actually sets the fastest lap race down the 1:12 flat, as the yellow flag out the final corner. I think that's Midway actually was spun, potentially coming out the final, out of turn number 9, and has ended up having to come into the pit lane, which is unfortunate for the Ferrari on his debut. The VRT man down there in 18th position, but he will still stick on. And actually, he recognises that the rain is stopping out on track, and he's gone for set of mediums, even though, Mike, I can visibly see from Felix's part that the rain is still falling.
Yeah, for me, it's way too early for mediums, but he's probably had his set to mediums, and he's just lost the car and just gone straight into the pits with it.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, and when you speed like that into the pit lane as well, and when you go with excessive speed into the pits, you forget what you're doing half the time. And obviously, I think Andreas has, sorry, not Andreas, Midway has obviously came out on a set of medium companatized. That was his intended strategy, but they're down in 18th position. Hopefully, he'll still keep going, even if he's on that set of medium companatized. But then again, I'm looking through the final corners. Jerry now bangs in the fast lap race. The track is definitely getting quicker, and I definitely think there's a dry line forming coming out the final couple of corners there.
Yeah, it's definitely getting closer to dry tyres, but I mean, you can see from how much time Midori is losing on this lap, it's definitely nowhere near it.
Here's Jensen on the back of Denzo, pulls to the inside line at turn number 3 at Remus and gets the job done. So the the Red Bull is through and he's into third. Denzel there in the Ferrari powered Alfa Romeo, that's what I was trying to say. There in fourth, Felix there in fifth, but that was easy from Jensen, the championship leader, making yet more positions. He's there in third, ahead of his closest rival now in the championship, arguably is Felix, who's there in fifth, his own teammate. I don't promise you that I did put them there on purpose. I might have done. But Jensen there in third, Felix there in fifth, doing a good job. And Felix there is now on the back of Denzo, who, for the first time, is just beginning to seek in and sink in a little bit of mistake, as it's definitely drier in the second half of this circuit.
Rain has stopped in the final sector.
Felix is in. Yeah, the rain has stopped. Felix is into the pit lane. Rain is still following the camera lane. Jerry is in. I think it was a very late pit stop from Jerry if it was. Denzo in, Felix in, Link's in. Everyone's coming into the pit lane. I think we're still a lap away from dries, maybe even 2 laps away. These guys coming in early have decided to go set a medium compound tire. They've decided to bite the bullet. Midway wasn't gaining time whatsoever on that compound. So everyone that is coming out here, this, I think, Mike, is going to bring Sergeant Cake right into this. Because if the mediums can't warm up, and it's a very short track, and if Sergeant Cake can get those tyres, those inters still going for the remainder of this lap, even though it's drying out on track visibly, Jerry doesn't get those tyres online, Sergeant Cake could be in the lead of this race when he decides to come in. And look at the time, it's going out 6.3 seconds.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the gap to the leader right now between Sergeant Cake and Jerry, and that gap is increasing.
It is 16.9, another 2/10 gain, 17 seconds, and now he's in. Sergeant Cake into the pit lane, Jensen follows Sergeant Cake. Sergeant Cake though still leads the way, Jensen in second, Andreas there in third. Apologies by the way if you've just lagged out slightly on the stream. But Jensen out of the pit lane, Sergeant Cake coming out of the pit lane as well in the Williams garage. Jerry's on the right hand side of the track, and Jerry I think is going to be ahead. Jerry is ahead, miles ahead in fact, as Midway has crashed coming out of turn number 7. Jerry, though, out in front. Michael's a safety car, that. Sergeant Cake, though, in second. Jensen there in third. Denzel there in fourth. And everyone now in that set of mediums trying to get them warmed up. Even though, Mike, I still haven't seen DRS be enabled.
DRS hasn't been enabled yet. I think it is still just a little bit too early for the dry tyres. But we shall see. I mean, the gap was 3 seconds when Jerry came into the pit. So Sergeant Cake did gain a second on Jerry on that lap.
And what you've just proven there as well, you were completely right, because Mad Jonas has just came out the pit lane, just spun, coming out the pit lane at turn number 1. DRS is now enabled. Now enabled on this lap. So everyone I think that has pitted in on the last lap have actually not come out of this in the best situation whatsoever, especially Sergeant Cake, Denzel, Jensen, Lynx, Felix 1. Lynx actually, by the way, gained ahead of Felix 1 in the pits. I'm not sure what happened there. I'm assuming Felix got held up.
Yeah, potentially. Though I do think Felix came into the pits the lap earlier.
He didn't. He came in same as these. Oh no, yeah, you're right. Actually, no, yeah. Lynx, Denzo, Felix all put it in the same. Jerry put it in. I'm getting myself confused. Just ignore what I've just said. Denzo on the back of Jensen over 4 is more immediate. But yeah. Basically, what I'm trying to say there, before getting over my tyres, is Jonas just gone through the outside of turn number 2, down into the braking turn of turn number 3. Beautiful move that by Jonas, down the straight. Mad Jonas into the pit. Then I think he was out of the car, potentially in the pits. He, I think, has cried enough. But Jerry leads the way. Sergeant Cake in second. Jensen there in third. And yeah, Lynx ahead of Felix 1. Felix 1, I swear, though, was ahead of Lynx before they came out the pits. So I think there has been a hold up in the pit lane, and Felix got caught on that because he must have got hold up by somebody near him. Like, I think maybe Denzo in the Alfa Romeo, I think has held him.
I think it'd be Andreas, because Denzo was right behind Felix, wasn't he? Or right ahead of him coming into the pit. So I think it was Andreas who was just like a little bit behind, but able to just hold him up in the pit slightly, or Jonah perhaps, or Kaya. Did they get the same lap?
It might be Yona. I think it might be Yona because Andreas actually put it in a lap later than Felix. There's still rain on the camera lens, but Yona goes past now Tim. Down on the inside, the two Dutchmen now fighting out in towards turn number 3. Gets the job done. Kai, for good measure, just about leans on him and actually gets completely sideways coming out of turn number 3. Loses the position to Chris in the meantime. Jetta winner now, 30s into 10. Kai there in 11, Tom there in 12, Tam in 13. Could we get round 2 of Tim, Tom and Tam?
That's what I was just about to say. Yeah, they're pretty close to each other. Tim, Tam, Tom. Let's go.
Tim Tam Tom and the other Tom out of the race, unfortunately. But Jerry leads the way. Sergeant Cake there in 2nd. Jensen there in 3rd. And Jerry, so far, the little mouse out in front, getting ahead of Tom, the cat. I hope I've done that right. I think I haven't.
I don't want to say anything. But,
no, I have. I've got them mixed up, haven't I?
Yeah, it was the analogy of the cat and the mouse. But Jensen, I think Jensen can get past Sergeant Cake, which obviously, as it currently stands, Jensen just not using his ERS to get past the Williams man up ahead of him, and Sergeant Cake's not really losing too much time to Jerry in the dry. I think Jensen could mount a charge if he can get past Sergeant Cake yet.
I was right, by the way. I was second guessing in what I said there, but yeah, Jerry is the mouse. And the cat is Tom. So far, the little mouse getting on top of the cat, which is very rare because it's normally the cat that gets on top of the mouse sometimes in Tom and Jerry. If I've just ruined your childhood, I apologise. But Jerry, in the meantime, is not ruining my childhood. He's 3 seconds clear out in front from Sergeant Cake in 2nd, Jensen there in 3rd. Before anybody asks, yes, I'm 25, and yes, I'm not a child. Sergeant Cake in 2nd, Jensen there in 3rd. Denzel there in 4th, but Jensen, I think now, Mike, looking right on the back of Sergeant Cake. The sun now begins to break through the clouds, and this is easy from Jensen. Pulls alongside, even before he gets to the Tinker turn number 2, gets the job done. He is through and he's into 2nd position very, very easily indeed. And now, can he set his sights on Jerry? I don't know.
Well, 3 seconds is the gap, and we'll see if he can close that in as you spotted something else then.
Tam and Tom. Tam passes Tom in the Alpine. The 2 Alpines there, 12th and 13th position. And no, before you ask, I didn't put them again in the same team here tonight. Tam and Tom, 12th and 13th. Oh, did I? Hang on, I need to have a look at the driver look, because I think they're now full-time, both of them. Tam and Tom, 12th and 13th, doing a good job. If I have put them full-time, they deserve to be, because it's funny for us as commentators. I think that's why I put them there.
Yeah, and that would be a commentator's nightmare to have Tam and Tom in the same same team, so thank you for that one. And
oh no, Tom's Alfa Romeo. Tom's meant to be Alfa Romeo, but I think Tim has taken the Alfa Romeo. So a bit of controversy between Tim and Tam.
Honestly, that's terrible. Tam and Tom, that is disgraceful behaviour from the pair of them. And Tim as well. Tim getting involved in it. Like, what's going on?
And now, another male name about to get involved in this fight with Tim is Chris down the inside line of turn number 3. From an absolute mile back comes the Aston Martin. And now, the Dutchman and the Dutchman again. But I think Tim got caught in the outside curve there potentially, or had a big slide out. And an apology, I think, there from Tim, having a bit of a slide. Chris, though, was doing his into 9. Regardless, I think he would have got that job done before the contact happened. Chris doing his into 9. Tim there in 10. Tim has got a penalty, but 1 position closer to Tim, Tam and Tom.
Yep, 1 position closer indeed, and let's not forget he does have a penalty, so he'll be a lot closer to Tam and Tom with Tim. And I'm looking at this gap, and it is coming down between Jensen and Jerry.
Yeah, it is 2.2 seconds. It was 3.1, so half a second gain each for Jensen. Maybe Jerry is actually lacking in ERS. 35% of ERS from him. Jensen there in 2nd, Sergeant Cake there in 3rd. And Sergeant Cake, to be fair, he proved in Spain before he had that spin and before he inevitably finished further down the field in DNF. Sergeant Cake there in 3rd. He had pace in that Spain race, and here in Austria, he has come alive. He might be overperforming as Denzel now. I think he's going to try and teach him a lesson. Down in towards turn number 4. Sergeant Cake, though, defends beautifully in the middle of the road and pulls on to 3rd. Denzel there in 4th. But Sergeant Cake, as I mentioned in qualifying, I thought he overperformed in qualifying. Clearly overperforming, and is looking like, so far, an underdog.
Yeah, and we all love an underdog story, and that's why we relate so much to the Tom and Jerry from back in the day. Like, you know, it was an underdog story. Tom was always trying to get that mouse, never got that mouse. It was an underdog story from start to finish.
It was indeed, and unfortunately Tom and Jerry, I think, have been discontinued, certainly in Britain at least. But Jerry leads the way. Jensen there in second, Sergeant Cake in third. There's a yellow flag. I think Dakin has spun at the top. Kyra and Tam are having a fight, and actually Kyra's in the pits. So Kyra's in the pits. He speeds in. I'm not sure if I don't think he's done this on purpose, because we've now got Tim, Tom and Tam. But, yeah, Kyra speeds in the pit lane, set us off compound tyre. I think he's gone, actually, for a fresher set of compound tyre, regardless. But still, we've now got, if Tim doesn't catch Chris, we will have Tim, Tam and Tom.
Yep, and I'm looking forward to that battle. If they can close up to each other, I'm looking forward to that battle.
I'm also looking forward to that battle there as well. Blackbox saying, I'm overthinking things. Yeah, I always overthink things. It's like I overthink Felix 1's points a little bit earlier on and gave him 10 as that Dakin has retired into the pit lane. What I did was gave Felix 10 more points than what he should have. So I'm going to have to deduct 10 points of his total, and then everything will be all fine. And I'll make sure the F2 results are right, actually, from Imola, just to be sure, and just so we've got the right tally. It's easy to do, I've just put points of people. But Jerry leads the way. Jensen second, Sergeant Cake there in third, Dental fourth, Flinks now fifth, Felix in sixth, and Chris now on the back of Yona is looking interesting.
I think Andreas had a mistake there, because he's dropped well off the back now of Felix as Chris goes through on Jonah up into P8, but a yellow flag comes out, so he has to get position back.
How's that an illegal overtake? Come on! Dakin's AI is coming out the pit lane. That should be green flag all the way up the hill and towards turn number 3, and Chris has had to give that position up because of an illegal overtake. What a joke! What a joke!
Yep, and Chris won't be happy with that, but he'll know that he'll have another shot at it now on this following lap.
Honestly, if I was a live race director right now, as Felix has spun, coming out of turn number 7, I wonder if he's got caught up on the inside curb or on the outside of turn number 6. Not sure. Regardless, though, he's going to lose 2 positions, and Chris is now through the yard and heel. Might get the move done in towards turn number 9, and he does! Brilliant stuff by Chris. Parks the red steam into turn number 9. That was extraordinary from Chris. He had to wait. The illegal overtake. Who cares about that illegal overtake? He got the move done cleanly into turn 9. Brilliant stuff. Brilliant insight from Chris. He's through and he's into 7. That's why he's a race winner in Jeddah.
Yeah, and this battle between Jonah, Felix, and Chris has backed up the pack. We got Tim, Tam, and Tom next to each other now.
We have indeed Tim on the back of Felix. Tom and Tam are in behind, but they still have to gain in with DRS as Felix now having to recover from that spin. Coming out of turn number 6 and 7, he is there in 9th position, doing a good job on the back of Yona. Chris there in 7th. Andres, to be fair, running in no man's land. That is going to benefit him as well. He has got penalties, as I will run through the penalties now, as we are 75% race distance. Andreas on 3, Tim on 3, Black's on 3. Forgot Black was actually in the race, to be honest. We haven't covered him in the race. He's there on 14th, 3-second penalty. Kai there on 5, and then Mad Jonas there on 8 seconds worth of time. Penalties, as Mad Jonas has just picked up a 5-second penalty and sped into the pit lane, and he's retired in the pit lane as well. Don't blame him from earlier on. Sergeant Cake makes a mistake out of turn number 1 as well. Jensen just trying to break out of DRS terrain to him. Jerry out in front, 2 seconds the gap. Jensen second, Sergeant Cake in third as Jonas picking up a 3-second penalty now as well to add on to the penalties list. Felix, though, again, looking on the back of the Ferrari. He's not going to be close enough, as again, we've got a yellow flag coming down quick. And luckily, no, nobody's going to go for a move this time around.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the top 2. Both Jerry and Jensen have expended all the ERS. Look how much ERS Sergeant Cake has to use.
He has. He's got a lot more ERS at this stage as Kai is retired into the pit lane as well. These guys do get points, remember, all the way down the field. This is why we are seeing Blacks and Commenters continuing on. Commenters has been very consistent with his point scoring this season, so he's going to look again to try and pick up his points. But yeah, 62% for Sergeant Cake. Jensen there on 6%. 58% more as Chris has spun through turn number 9. So Chris has spun coming out of turn number 9. In fact, that's actually not even turn number 9. That's turn number 8. He's gone in the wall, and he's lost, I think, a bit of his front wing. Or has he? He is going to continue on with very dirty tyres. And yeah, he's in the pit lane. I think he's got damage. And Sergeant Cake attacks Jensen for second, and Denzel attacks Jensen as well to the inside of turn number 3. Tries to get the job done to the inside line, doesn't. Sergeant Cake in second, Jensen in third, Denzel there in fourth, and Denzel now hunting down on the back of the Red Bull, and the Red Bull's going nowhere because there goes Denzel to the outside line, and Denzel tries to go around the outside. Jensen a little bit caught on the curve, and he spins. The championship leader is round. Jensen spins coming out of turn number 3, and in the end, contact again happens with him. It was the same on Tuesday night as well, where we got in contact with Felix of all people in Singapore in FRL. But Jensen round, catching turn number 3, enough of a rotation to send the car around, and the championship leader's down in 6th. But at least he's still going to be hoping to try and still hope that the championship leader's still his, which I think it will be, because he's outperforming Felix right now.
Yeah, and I got pointed out as well. Tim has dropped off massively from the back of Tom, and Tam has been disconnected from the session as he is an AI ghost.
AI ghost, which I think had no wheels there for a second as he was rejoining on track. And again, Jensen has spun. Jensen spins out of turn number 1 this time. It is going from bad to worse from Jensen's perspective. Tim, by the way, I think also had a spin. I'm not sure if him and Tam might have had a collision potentially. But he's there in 10th. Commentus and 11th. Blacks and Todd, they are now in position as well. But Jensen, championship leader, all going bad to worse. And now, all of a sudden, Felix under pressure from Yona of all people. Yona, of course, picked up a podium as Jensen has retired out of the race. And he crashes out of turn number 3. Is that a safety car? Yes, it is. Safety car deployed out on track. And Jensen, I think a 3rd spin from him is 2. Now, 3 times is normally a charm. Not for Jensen's luck. And he has crashed on the left-hand side. I think he had a spin coming out of turn number 3. If not, then I'm not sure. But Jerry out on top, Cake there in 2nd, Denzel there in 3rd. And Jerry now, all of these guys coming in the pit lane, and the championship leader out of the race, which means Felix will lead the championship.
Yeah, and now it's a big call from these guys to come into the pits and check on the set of the sauce. Because obviously Jerry, if he came into the pits and everyone else stayed out, he would have been pretty far down the order, and not much chance of getting back for the race win. So very fortunate everyone followed him in.
Yeah, definitely so. All that set of soft compound tires, as I say, not sure what happened with Jensen. I was on board with his 3rd spin, unfortunately. Regardless, though, the safety car has now caught the field up, and Jerry leads the race. Sergeant Cake is in 2nd. He's having the time of his life in 2nd at this stage. Denzel there in 3rd, Links there in 4th. And we started off with this race saying it's going to be a war of attrition. Austria is always a war of attrition. No matter what league comes here, no matter what start of racing comes here, we always seem to have many crashes, many DNFs out of this race as well. Many drivers who can't be bothered to finish the race, quite frankly. But it is a shame, because all of these guys will be picking up points. Blacks, by the way, has used his initiative to go on that set of medium compound tyres and stay out there, and he's now a 9th in the top 10.
Yeah, but with those 2 cars behind him, in Tim and Carmentalis, it's going to be difficult to keep those 2 behind. But we're just going to have a quick look at the penalties right now to see Tim and Max on the same. It's going to be difficult for Max to hold these 2 up. Tam, though, I mean, he put in the chat saying, "One day I won't bottle." His AI is still ghosting around. I mean,
he's still
technically, he could he still could jump back in.
Oh, is what we are seeing? Oh, Black is in the pits. That's why we're seeing position changes up and down the field. Black's in the pit lane. I think he's going to use his initiative now to go on the set of softs and now end up back the field. Which, to be honest, I don't blame him to do that. But again, possibly 9th position could have been on the cards there, even if he had a penalty. But yeah, Black's out on the pit lane, down in 12th position. Derry leads the way, Sergeant Cake in 2nd, Denzel in 3rd, and Bunty. Completely agree. I've seen it so many times where Johnson has lost his head, and thought it was like WR season 13. He was leading the race in WR season 13 in Silverstone, and he ended up, I think it was 5 laps before the end of the race, he ended up spinning, coming out of Stowe, turn 15, ended up disqualified coming into the pit lane because he lost his head so much, basically couldn't cope with it anymore. pulls the safety car. Not saying he did that here in the TML F1, far from it. I think it was more spin, obviously dirty tyres, many different factors obviously coming in, but Jensen, I'm sure, again with Tom, if they decide to race next week, they will of course be back, I'm sure, it's their brilliant best, as we go of course to France next week as well. Jerry Lowe, the virtual bowman, the virtual safety car, and somebody's lost the front wing end plate in the background.
Oh, who was that?
Who was that? Was that Lynx? Yeah, Lynx, right side end plate damage. Lynx back into the back of Denzo.
That is
Jerry's
big,
gone.
and Andreas. Yeah, Jerry's gone already, and what's called Link's going to be under immediate pressure from Andreas with that wing damage, but he's got a nice gap early on. But yeah, Jerry timing it to perfection, already gone.
He has indeed. Tam's AI, by the way, has been down at demoted now down to 12th position. But we are back under green flag racing. Jerry leads the way. Sergeant Cake there in second. Denzel there in third, doing a good job. Lynx there in fourth. Jensen as well, apparently saying Denzel turned in on him. So might have been the case with that as Yona was fun. Coming out of turn number 1, that's a shame. He was doing really well in this race. Yona doesn't deserve that whatsoever. Down there in 12th, many drivers don't deserve the results, to be honest, that they've had, and the races that some of them have had as well after the early spins on that one. Jerry leads the way, Sergeant Cake in second, Denzel there in third, and it's now whether or not Jerry can assert his dominance out in front. So far, not getting his own way on the first lap on the restart, because Sergeant Cake right there 4/10 away, Denzel right there 4/10 away, and everything now is going to be between these top three, because Lynx has got the right side end plate damage to a left-handed corner. He'll be okay. Right-handed corners, though, that's going to be where the trouble is, as Tam has spun once again. I think we've redone the session. So Tam has redone the session, which is good to see. He spins, and Lynx now a second behind on Denzo, and it looks like it's going to be one of these front three that wins onto lap 34 36.
Tam is still ghosted for me. Let's go.
He was.
Yeah, I can't be this dumb, can he?
He's spun by himself, unless that is him driving. I don't think it is, unless it's him that's driving, and his AI has just made a mistake out on track. I don't know, but then again, it's Code Masters, anything happens. Sometimes as Felix right on the back of Andres touches the back of him, the German on the back of the Norwegian running down the straight in towards turn number 6, turn number 4 I should say, at Schlossgall for P5. In the end, Felix is not close enough. Nearly rear-ended them all on the braking zone, as that Jerry's now getting away from Sergeant Cake 8 tenths per second.
Yeah, Jerry's starting to break away from Sergeant Cake, but obviously this wing damage from Lynx is throwing a spanner into the works of Andreas and Felix, because Tom is looking to jump both of them right now in terms of penalties, and can't enter this. If he can close up to this battle up ahead with Lynx's wing damage, he can come up a couple of spots.
And Andreas nearly got collected there by Lynx rejoining the track. He made a mistake there coming out as a spinner. I think that's Tam again coming through the middle sector, who was from the same point on the track, so I'm not sure if he is controlling that car out on track. And Sergeant Cake's out of the race. Sergeant Cake out of the race, coming out of turn number 1, outside curve, I think claims its victim, and Sergeant Cake unfortunately has spun. He did not deserve that at all. He would have been on either the second or third in that race, and Andreas now is getting Lynx, and Lynx has to rejoin track very dangerously indeed. Oh, he had a mistake actually. Andreas got collected on him on the inside, and now Felix of all people diving it down the inside line of Lynx, tries to get the job done in towards turn number 4 with that wing damage that is going to affect him through the next corners. Felix now on the outside line in the Red Bull on the back of the AlphaTauri, tries to hang it all the way around the outside. Beautiful stuff. Even with wing damage, Lynx had to defend that. Beautiful stuff from Felix. Inches apart, wing mirrors apart. That's racing right there. Now I'd just be overtaking the season. Felix Looney's into 4th. That was incredible commitment.
Yeah, that was fantastic from Felix around the outside on Lynx. Absolute beautiful stuff. And honestly, I'm sat here, I'm heartbroken for Sergeant Cake.
Definitely.
That was my driver of the day gone.
Definitely. Tim, by the way, is passing Tom. Tim and Tom in towards turn number 1. And Tim's gone way too deep. Tom's going to try and get him on the re-entry. And he does. So Tom back through and he's into 6th. Tim there in 7th. Tim and Tom. Pity we don't have Tam in the battle. He's down there in 10th. Yona there in 11th as well. Yona's still going. Tam is in AI at this stage. His DRS, though, is being used up. So I'm actually confident that he is still driving that car. He just ghosted on my screen and ghosted on your screen as well. But Jerry leading the way through the final couple of corners we come. Now through turn number 6, Commentalist has had a loss of position. Blacks is through on him. down in towards turn. Oh, as my TV has turned itself off. That's not great. On the final lap of the race, I can't even see what's going on. I need to hang on. I'll be back in a second.
I'll quickly run you through. Obviously, Jerry coming through the final corner into the final corner.
My TV's just turned itself off. Right, through the final corner we come. I hope we are going to get it. Jerry to the line, takes the win in Austria. Never had anything like that in commentary before. Denzel there in second. Andreas doesn't hang on to third. Links in third. And Tom in the end has finished there in fourth. Apologies about the black screen at the end. Absolutely rushed. I just saw it go black screen and I thought, oh god, my telly just turned itself off. But Jerry takes the win. Denzel in second in an absolute action-packed race. Tam again has spun at the same part of the track. Unless that is AI controlled, this is probably one of the weirdest things I think I've ever seen. But what is not weird though, Jerry taking the race win out on top. And in the end, Mike, I think he absolutely deserved it because in parts of that race, he was very, very dominant.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jerry... Tom.
We will see.
Tom gets run of the day on your game.
But I'm assuming it does because I don't see a drive of the day on my screen, so I'm assuming he does.
What's going on? I was seeing some mad things. I was looking at the times as well from Tam's ghost car to see whether or not it was AI or him driving. It was 10 seconds slower. It was 10 seconds slower per lap. It was definitely the AI. The AI needs to learn how to keep it on track. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, definitely so. Definitely so. Oh, God. Jerry, though, can't take away from him. He takes the race win out on track here in Austria. And in the end, I think it's his debut race actually this season in TML F1. Of course, he's been here before. He's done it. He's got the T-shirt. In the end, though, Jerry... Could we say, if he's more consistent in attendance, could we say he's a title contender?
Yeah, definitely. Especially if Jensen and Tom are unable to turn their recent form around. I mean, it's been a rough 2 races for them. They need to bounce back now for France. But if they don't, then yeah, Jerry Denzel can do the work. And obviously you got Black Box still to come back as well, and he could be licking his lips and chomping at the bit to try and get back racing, seeing the issues that these two are having.
Yeah, Jerry out on top from Denzel in second, Links in third, Tom in fourth, Andreas in fifth. These are all provisional results, by the way. Felix, Tim, Commenters, Blacks, Yona top 10, Tam's AI in 11th, Cake, Jensen, Chris, Kaya, Mad, Yona, Staken, Mitri, Tom, and was it Ralkeo right down the back of the field. See, I remembered that. There we are. There we are.
There we go.
There we go. That is the Austrian Grand Prix over and done with. I cannot behold what we've just seen. The driving standards, obviously, Austria does take its hit on driving standards, and I think the driving standards tonight were a drop down from last week in Spain. I mean, I don't blame them. It was a full wet race. It was more of like a war of attrition than anything else. I certainly didn't say to commenters beforehand, oh, it's going to be a full wet race, just put it on there. Didn't do that in terms of any mirroring in real life. It was just what the game gave us. And unfortunately, we saw the likes of Tom, the likes of Jensen crashing out on track. Austria, though, never dull as Simply Superman says. Rightfully so. But in the end, Jerry takes the top step of the podium. And I'm not sure. Do you want to put in a message, say if we've got any interviews or interviewees potentially pending?
Yeah, I can check and see who would like an interview.
That would be fantastic. That would be fantastic. Well, I will get the calendar up because next week it's another totally different track. It is much flatter, much more speed-based, much more downforce-based. It is, of course, France, in Le Castellet in France. Possibly one of my first commentaries on the game, actually, around in France, happened on this game, on F1 22. So, France, from my perspective, is a pretty good race. We've got the break week, of course, coming after that as well, where, of course, we are going to take a full-on break for TML going forward from that week. And then, of course, we go back to the Netherlands 2 weeks after. But France, next week, Mike, if anything is to go by from the first 2 races we've learned underneath the new structure, underneath the new merging of TML F1 and F2, is these F2 guys do keep up with things, and France should be a track where DRS trains are absolutely key, overtaking will be absolutely key, and hopefully we get some really good racing as well.
Yeah, definitely. France will be an interesting one. I'm just typing in the chat 2 seconds. But yeah, France will definitely be an intriguing one, because obviously that one, you can get good DRS trains there, but also you could get a real split in the pack, as Sector 1 and 3 really does promote the more skilled drivers.
Yeah, definitely. So, Link saying in the chat that was a fun race. Many drivers are probably going to be asking me in the comment section, certainly after this race, saying, "What on earth was that race? We should just go back to what it was, F1 and F2." But we have to try something. It was either this or shut down F1 and F2 completely, which is what I didn't want to do, and I'm certainly the guys didn't want to do either. So that's why we have merged them both together. But obviously, it does bring few shocks. Andres was up there. Sergeant Cake was up there. For a majority of that race, he was going to be driver of the day. And do you know what? He might still even be driver of the day, even though he did crash out in the final 2 laps. Because, again, he looked like one of the drivers that has carried, I think, the most forward. Certainly from the F2 guys. Felix has done the same as well. But Sergeant Cake is the real surprise. He is definitely learning this craft well against these F1 boys. Kept up with Denzel, kept up with Jensen, and he doesn't look at all out of place.
Yeah, Sergeant King today, absolutely fantastic. And he was going to be my driver of the day if he didn't crash out.
Yeah, which is, it's a shame. It's the nature of racing. Anything can happen in Formula One, and it probably just might as well. But yeah, it was a shame from Sergeant Cake's perspective. But we could have potentially 2 interviews coming our way. Denzel is not up for an interview, which is totally fine. I don't think I've ever interviewed Denzel actually in my league racing career. But Jerry and Lynx, we should be hearing of, the men who finished, of course, in P1 and P3. I am waiting for them to see if they can see the waiting room. Otherwise, I will just invite them in and hopefully try. Oh, there we go. There's Lynx in the waiting room. He's found his way into the waiting room. Don't want to ban Lynx. I don't want to give him a new role. I want to move him into. We're in comms box 1, right?
Yeah, comms box 1.
Comms box 1. There he is. He is in, which is really good. We're just waiting on Jerry, I think, to join the waiting room. Jerry is saying Lynx will do the job. Lynx will do the job. So maybe talk about Jerry's race from that perspective as well. But we can interview Lynx, of course, the man who finished somehow in that race in P3. And as you were saying there in Discord, quite a fun race from your perspective.
Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Oh, okay, good. I don't know how to do this Discord thing.
You're totally fine.
But yeah, it was fun. I'm so bad in qualifying though, so I always do bad in qualifying. I have to work my way back up to where I should be. So it's quite fun doing it, but it's annoying. I have to do it every race. But yeah, the rain was it was interesting. Everyone was really struggling on the first lap, and you have the line users who know exactly where to brake, and then you have us who have to try and learn each lap slowly. So it was kind of mad on the first couple of laps. But yeah, no, overall the race was really fun. Interchangeable conditions, crashes, safety cars. Yeah, that's pretty much a complete race really.
Yeah, we got led to believe that it was going to be full wet race, and I think I took that quite literally in thinking that's going to be full wet race, wets to inters, and then it dried up around the halfway stage, and you must have been very happy in the position that you were in when that safety car came out about halfway through. The mediums suddenly came into play, the dry conditions suddenly came into play, and you started working your way through the field as well.
I mean, yeah, the pace is always quite good. So as I said, I'm terrible in qualifying, so I have to work up to where I really should be. But yeah, the inters, my pace was the best out of the 3. I think I was able to keep up with everyone, and I was trying to make a move on people. And then on the mediums, it was just a DRS train until my ERS ran out because the pace was so strong I couldn't recharge. But then obviously Denzel and Jensen had a little issue, which caused the safety car, I think it was. And then I lost a bit of concentration on the safety car restart, so I hit Denzo's rear wing. So I got a bit of front wing damage. So those last 3 laps were a bit intense, but I managed to hold them off and finish P3.
Yeah, you did a sterling job, I've got to say, in those final 3 laps, because that right to end plate damage, as I say, I think you made contact with, was it Denzo under the
Yeah,
safety
yeah,
car? Yeah, you made
yeah.
contact with
Just a lack
Denzo.
of. Yeah, I just lost concentration for a second, and then I hit him.
It's easy to lose concentration, to be honest. But how are you finding the merge between F1 and F2? Because it is pretty different. It's a bit off the cuff compared to what we're used to in TML. How are you finding racing the guys like the likes of Sergeant Cake and Felix?
Honestly, they were faster than I expected. Obviously, they're just using lines, so they're probably the same speed. But I think the only race I did after this was Jeddah, and that was no Animal, but they were like quite low numbers. So obviously having like a max grid is always best. So I like the merge. It gives us full grids and it gave us a fun race. Like that was definitely the best race of the season so far. I'd say. I mean, I didn't race in Spain, but for me that was the best race so far.
I definitely think that is a good thing to take forward because I was the one that was saying literally this merge needs to work. We need to save the league somehow. And what we've done that, and obviously F1 and F2, hopefully as merge going forward will be very strong, and hopefully all performances will get very strong as well towards the back end of the season. Mike, not forgetting about you. Any questions?
Yeah, just the one. Obviously, early on in the race, it went from the full wet conditions onto the intermediate tires, and obviously you stayed. You went in a lap earlier than a lot of the other guys. Did you think that was the right time, or were you thinking, oh, did I make a mistake by going a little bit too early? Because we did see the Inders were slightly slower on the lap that you came in.
Do you mean like pit into mediums from the Inters because it was safety car on the from wet stinters? Do you mean mediums or?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
Jeff called me in. He done the strategy like in the middle sector, so I was like, I'll just go with it. And then as soon as I come out the pits, I'm like, yeah, no, this is probably not the right lap. We were sliding everywhere and braking where I normally brake in the dry, but tried to brake a little bit early because obviously the cold tires, but still nearly went off the track like 3 times. And then obviously I think Jensen and whoever stayed out earlier actually had like quite a bit of a lead on us, but because they had cold tires, we could catch them up again. So yeah, it was the wrong lap, but at least we had warmer tires to catch them up, so it wasn't a huge issue.
Yeah, and of course that battle at the end, obviously with your front wing damage with Andreas and Felix. How hard were you sweating to keep them behind so you could jump back on penalties at the end?
I mean, yeah, at the start, I wanted to try and burn my ERS and keep them behind. But then I knew they had the 3 seconds. So if I could just hold them up to the penultimate lap, which I did, I'd be able to hold on to them. But then I didn't realise that Tom was behind me with no penalty. So I was like, oh, yeah, if I'm going to lose the podium from this. So I was sweating hard to keep Tom behind. But because they had the penalties ahead, I wasn't too worried about that. It was more just trying to keep in the DRS for the final 2 laps. That was the main challenge, and I just managed it. So, yeah, it was a tough last 3 laps, definitely.
Yeah, it was a great effort from you in the final couple of laps. Not only keep them behind, but also to keep with them after they got past.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and the final question from me as well, Links, before you go, is France next week. First of all, are you going to be racing? And second of all, how do you think you're going to get on around there if you are?
I should be racing, and then France. I don't think I've done a single race there on this game, so I'm gonna have to practice that a bit more. But France is always quite a good track for me anyway, from last game anyway. But I haven't really. I think I've only had about 5 laps on it, so I'm gonna have to try it. But I'll definitely be there.
Fantastic to hear. At least we've got one confirmed for next week, which is, I think, a positive, certainly from what we've had in previous weeks. But, Links, thank you so much for the interview. Go and enjoy your evening.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
You are very welcome indeed. We are not going to hear, unfortunately, from Mr. Jerry Van Bossel, which is a shame because I would love to hear his Dutch dulcet tones once again at the top step of the podium, where I think he belongs, certainly in this race in Austria. But that rounds us off very neatly indeed, of course, Mike, for TML F1 tonight. And more action to come because the newly renamed TML F2 is going to be happening on Friday night, of course. Myself and Mike taking through, I think, the action tomorrow at 8 p.m. UK time. And Mike, if anything's to go by in F1, we could see quite a lot of carnage.
I mean, I think a lot of it was down to the conditions, but if we have similar conditions tomorrow, it's going to be just as an exciting race as it was tonight.
It will be, and already I can tell you as well with the new F2, which is formerly F3, now F2. They will get the F2 graphics as well if anybody is asking that in the chat. Currently, as it stands, we're on course for full grid tomorrow as well, so it should be really good, and obviously we should see some really good action out on track as well. I'm hoping for full dry race, gives these guys, of course, the real talent that they can provide, some real good racing as well, and hopefully that will come to fruition. And then we're on break week, sunning ourselves before we go to the Netherlands like David Coulthard on the nudist beach. And I can say that because it's past 9 o'clock. But we are done here tonight for TML F1. I'm praying it will. I'm just watching it. There we go. It's back. We are back, and I hope we are, because we're going to end off the stream here. Big thank you to everyone that tuned in. If you did like that, like, comment, subscribe, tick that notification bell, of course, if you're brand new to the channel. If you do want to get involved in the racing as well, the Discord link is there for TML. EML Discord link is also there if you do want to follow the action, what's going on in EML. Not on this this description, but on other PS descriptions that we've got on other streams on PlayStation. They are there as well if you do want to look, as well as all of our socials as well. And we'll be back next week in France, in La Classe. So for myself and Mike, thank you so much for watching. And until next time in France.